The second spiritual teaching is rebirth. Rebirth states that as differentiated spirits in God, human beings are reborn again and again in bodies of increasing efficiency on the physical plane. Why? The reason is that the spirit needs to have the following. 1. Learn the lessons incident to material existence. The spirit has to learn it. 2. To unfold latent divine potentialities into dynamic powers. This applies to all human beings from the very beginning of time. In Mathew chapter 17, verse 11 to 13, Christ Jesus gave his disciples a very wonderful demonstration of the philosophy of rebirth. We read, "And Jesus answered and said unto them, Elias truly shall first come and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elias is come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them." Then the disciples understood that he spoke unto them of John the Baptist. Also, it is evident that the Jewish priests believed in the theory of rebirth. Otherwise, they would not have sent to ask John the Baptist, "Art thou Elijah?" As it is recorded in the first chapter of St. John's Gospel, the 21st verse. We notice from these passages that Christ Jesus did not contradict his disciples, and this is quite significant. He was essentially a teacher, and if the disciples had entertained a wrong idea concerning the doctrine of rebirth, it will be his manifest duty to have corrected them. But he did not, to indicate that there was indeed, and there is indeed, rebirth. Let us look at another area where there is the testimony of rebirth, and that is the transfiguration. In Mark chapter 9 verse 2, we are told, "And after 6 days, Jesus taketh with him Peter and James and John, and leadeth them up into a high mountain apart by themselves, and he was transfigured before them." A high spiritual plane or spiritual world is often referred to in spiritual teachings as mountain. We are told in verse 4 that, "And there appeared unto him Elias with Moses, and they were talking with Jesus." So, Christ Jesus took the qualified disciples, not just any disciple, the qualified ones, into the spiritual world to read in the memory of nature the material rebirths of the spirit that occupied the body at different times, known as Moses and Elias. It is a matter of course that Christ Jesus followed up by asking them about the identity of John the Baptist and later himself. What happened was that the disciples saw the records themselves. They went into the spiritual world with the Master, Christ Jesus, and they saw those records themselves. Moses to Elias and to John the Baptist, the same spirit going and coming, just as everybody does, whether we are aware of it or not. In the 9th chapter of St. John's Gospel, we find an interesting story which teaches the working of this law of rebirth. It reads as follows. "And as Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Jesus answered, "Neither has this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of God be made manifest in him." In this passage, Christ Jesus endeavors to make it clear that the law backing all physical limitations is not punishment but enlightenment. Here, we find the perfect justice of the law of causation, which underlies disease and deformity. When an ego or spirit breaks a law of nature in one life, it returns in another life to face the limitation, which results as a violation of that law. Transgressions of divine laws upon the mental and moral planes of action are quite as responsible for physical disorders as the hidden side of the moon is effective in producing the tides. So we cannot run away from that law. Through the sorrow and suffering that accompany limitation, the ego or spirit learns its lesson and the infirmity is removed. So it is not punishment, but to teach the spirit a lesson so that it can make amends. God does not punish. We need to support such people. We don't see somebody who is facing such limitations and so, oh, God has punished the person. No, we need to support that person to learn the lessons, not to abandon them at all. No, we shouldn't do that. The third thing that was taught is about the law of cause and effect as against the law of grace.
Filling up every space, no privacy. And silently, we could build and build until you finally see. Whoa, it's taking over, damn no closure, moving closer. No exposure, I just wanna be a loner. Some can't stay sober, looking over all this.